Hello, I'm Jacqueline McInnes Wood, and welcome back to my official channel.
Hello, I'm Jacqueline McInnes Wood, and welcome back to my official channel. And let me just tell you right now, I am running on absolutely zero sleep. My coffee is cold, my eyes are burning, my fingers are cramping, but I had to get this out to you guys immediately because the news that just dropped is so massive and so world shattering that I could not wait for an editor to fix my grammar or make this look pretty. So you are getting the raw, unfiltered truth straight from my tired brain to your screen. Because everything we thought we knew about power in Los Angeles has just been completely turned upside down in a single night. Dollar Bill Spencer is gone, and I do not mean he is dead. I mean, the empire is gone, wiped out, evaporated. The man who thought he could buy the world just found out that the world has a price he can no longer afford, and it is entirely his own fault. So let us go back and break down exactly how this happened, because it is a tragedy of epic proportions, a Greek tragedy wrapped in an expensive Italian suit. Bill Spencer has always been a man of immense arrogance. The sword necklace, the dark office, the constant need to dominate everyone and everything around him. He built Spencer Publications into a global media and real estate juggernaut. He thought he was untouchable. He really did. He thought he was a god among men. But his arrogance just cost him a price so heavy that I do not think he will ever recover. It all started with the Logan brand. Katie Logan Spencer wanted to make a name for herself in the fashion world. She wanted to step out of the shadows of Forrester Creations and her sisters. And Bill saw an opportunity, not just to help the woman he claims to love, but to stick a massive knife right into the back of his eternal rival, Ridge Forrester. Because with Bill, everything always comes back to Ridge. It is an obsession, a sickness. And so Bill convinced Katie to use Eric Forrester's designs that Eric had allegedly promised to Katie for a new collection before abandoning the project. Bill doubled down. He told Katie they were going to produce the full collection. He poured every single dime of available capital into this venture. He leveraged Spencer Publications to the absolute hilt. He took out massive loans. He liquidated safety nets. He essentially pushed all his chips into the center of the table on a pair of twos while pretending he had a royal flush. Because why wouldn't he? He is Dollar Bill. He never loses, except this time he did. And the catalyst for this massive downfall was the press conference. Oh man, the press conference. Katie was standing there trying to launch this brand, trying to be the face of Logan fashion, and Brooke and Ridge crashed it. They barged right in. And they did not just make a little scene. They dropped a nuclear bomb on the entire event. They exposed the fact that these designs were stolen. They played dirty. They brought the receipt, and Eric Forrester himself was involved in the fallout. The legendary patriarch of fashion effectively disowned the collection. So what happens when the most respected man in the fashion industry publicly declares that a media mogul stole his life's work? The fashion world reacts, and they reacted with a violence that nobody saw coming. It was a bloodbath, a complete and total boycott. We are talking about every major influencer, every fashion magazine, every high-end buyer from Paris to Milan to New York. They all turned their backs on the Logan brand simultaneously. The hashtag started trending immediately. Boycott Spencer, stolen designs, fake fashion. The internet is a cruel place, and it absolutely shredded Bill and Katie's launch within hours. Nobody would touch the Logan brand with a 10-foot pole. The clothes were radioactive, but it did not stop there. Because Bill had tied the financial health of Spencer Publications directly to the success of this fashion line. When the fashion world boycotted Logan, the stock market noticed. And Wall Street does not care about your ego. Wall Street cares about numbers. And the numbers were suddenly in a free fall. I was looking at the stock tickers and it was just a sea of red. Spencer Publications stock dropping 10%, then 20, then 50. It was a complete panic sell-off. Shareholders were dumping the stock faster than you can blink because they saw the writing on the wall. They saw that the CEO had lost his mind and gambled the entire company on a stolen fashion line just to settle a personal vendetta with a dressmaker. And Bill was in his office, standing there in his custom suit, looking out over the Los Angeles skyline, probably still wearing that ridiculous sword necklace, refusing to believe it, denying reality. He was probably yelling at his brokers, screaming at Justin or whoever is left to tolerate him, telling them to fix it, buy the dip, stop the bleeding. But you cannot stop a severed artery with a Band-Aid. The money was gone. The capital was evaporated. The loans were being called in. The banks moved in with a speed that was honestly terrifying. Corporate America eating one of its own. They did not give him a grace period. They did not care that he was Dollar Bill Spencer. They showed up with injunctions and foreclosure notices. They sealed the doors of Spencer Publications. They put padlocks on the empire. Just imagine that. The great media giant locked out of his own building. Standing on the sidewalk while security guards who used to tremble at his voice told him he had to leave the premises. He is completely empty-handed. He has nothing. No company, no money, no power. The absolute stripping of a billionaire's identity in the span of 24 hours. And you know who saw this coming? Will Spencer, his own son. Will works at Forrester Creations. Will knows the industry. Will knows the Forrester family. And Will confronted his father. He went to Spencer Publications before the fall and he hurled theft accusations right at Bill and Katie. He asked if it was true. He asked if they stole Eric's designs. And Bill, with that smug, arrogant smirk, just looked at his son and said, "You cannot steal something that you own." The hubris, the absolute blindness of a man drunk on his own legend. Will warned him. R.J. Forrester warned Will. The younger generation saw the disaster approaching like a freight train on a broken track. But Bill refused to listen because he never listens. He thinks he is the smartest guy in the room. And now he is not even allowed in the room. So what does a broken God do when he falls from Mount Olympus? He seeks out the one person he thinks will always forgive him. He seeks out Katie. And this is where the story gets incredibly dark and incredibly sad, because the weather in Los Angeles decided to match the mood perfectly. It started raining, and not just a light drizzle, a freezing torrential downpour, the kind of rain that chills you to the bone, the kind of rain that washes away the dirt but leaves the mud. Bill walked through that storm. No limousine, no driver, no umbrella, just a ruined man in a ruined suit walking through the freezing rain. His expensive leather shoes soaked through, his hair plastered to his forehead, the cold creeping into his joints, the physical manifestation of his massive failure weighing him down with every step. He arrived at Katie's house, the house he bought, the life he helped build. He stood outside the heavy wooden door, the rain coming down in sheets, lightning flashing in the sky, illuminating his pale face, and his legs just gave out. He dropped to his knees. Dollar Bill Spencer kneeling in the freezing mud. Can you even picture it? The man who blew up Spectra Fashions with people inside of it just to build a skyscraper. The man who pushed Ridge out of a helicopter. The man who blackmailed and threatened his way to the top. Kneeling in the dirt like a beggar. And he started screaming. Guttural, desperate screams. Screaming in the ultimate regret for gambling on a wrong bet. He was yelling through the rain, begging Katie to open the door, begging for a chance to start over, pleading with her to just look at him, to help him, to save him from the nightmare that he created with his own two hands. His voice was hoarse. The wind was howling, but you could still hear the sheer terror in his voice, because for the first time in his life, Bill Spencer realized that money cannot buy a time machine. You cannot write a check to undo a mistake that destroys your entire legacy. He was crying, real tears mixing with the freezing rain, a pathetic broken shell of a titan. And inside the house, Katie was standing there. She heard him. Of course, she heard him. The screams were echoing off the walls, but she did not run to the door. She did not grab a towel and rush out to comfort him. She walked slowly to the window. She pulled back the curtain just a fraction of an inch, and she looked out at him, and her eyes were cold. Just completely dead and cold. There was no pity. There was no love. There was no residual affection for the father of her child, because Katie finally saw the truth. She saw that this entire fashion line, this entire disaster was never about her. Bill did not steal those designs to make Katie a star. He stole them to hurt Ridge. He used Katie as a pawn in his endless toxic war with the Forrester family. And in doing so, he destroyed her dream. He tainted her name in the fashion industry forever. Katie has a bad heart. We all know the medical history, the transplants, the scares, but Bill is the one who has truly broken her heart over and over again, with Brooke, with Steffi, with his lies, with his endless pursuit of power. And Katie has always forgiven him. She has always been the soft landing spot for his massive ego, but not tonight. Tonight, the door stays shut. She watched him out there in the freezing rain. She watched him screaming and hitting the ground with his fists, and she just let the curtain fall back into place. She turned around and walked away, leaving him out there in the dark. It is a chilling image. The billionaire crying in the mud while the people who once loved him stare with cold eyes and locked doors. And you have to think about Will in all of this. Will is dealing with his own mess right now. The whole situation with Elektra and Dylan, the kiss, the breakup, the manipulation from Ivy Forrester. Will is caught in this massive web of emotional turmoil at the office. He is watching Elektra move on with RJ. He is moving closer to Dylan. He is stressed. And now he has to watch his father lose everything. Will tried to warn him. And there is a specific kind of pain that comes when a son watches a father destroy himself despite the warnings. Will is a Spencer, but he has a moral compass. A compass he probably got from Katie. And seeing his father reduced to a screaming beggar in the rain is going to leave a scar that will never heal. Will is going to have to decide what kind of man he wants to be. Does he try to rebuild the Spencer name from the ashes? Or does he walk away completely and leave the ruins behind? Because the ruins are vast. The Spencer Publications building is dark tonight. The printing presses are stopped. The servers are seized. The bank executives are sitting in Bill's leather chair, going through his files, looking for pennies to scrape together to pay off the massive debt. And over at the Forrester mansion, they are probably popping champagne. Ridge Forrester won. He finally beat Bill Spencer, and he did not even have to throw a punch. He just let Bill's own arrogance do the heavy lifting. Brooke feels vindicated. She told Katie that Bill was bad news. She told her that this would end in disaster. And Brooke is always right when it comes to predicting a Spencer train wreck. Eric Forrester is probably sad about the whole thing because Eric is a good man. He hates seeing families destroyed, but he had to protect his legacy. He could not let Bill steal his designs and pass them off as a cheap weapon in a corporate war. So where does this leave everyone? What is the fallout of a billionaire losing his billions? For Bill, it means starting from below zero. He has no assets. He has no friends. He has no family willing to take him in. Wyatt and Liam are going to find out that their inheritances are gone. The trust funds are evaporated. The safety nets are cut. The entire Spencer family is going to feel the shockwave of this collapse. And Katie is left with a ruined reputation. She wanted to be a fashion mogul. Now she is the woman who tried to sell stolen goods and bankrupted her ex-husband in the process. It is not fair to her because Bill manipulated the situation, but the public does not care about nuance. The public cares about headlines. And the headlines are brutal. I am sitting here typing this and my hands are shaking because I just cannot believe the scale of this fall. We have seen characters lose companies before. We have seen hostile takeovers, but we have never seen a total, complete self-destruction like this. This was not a slow decline. This was a man jumping out of an airplane and refusing to pull the parachute because he thought he could command gravity to stop, and gravity always wins. The image of him in the rain is just burned into my brain. The freezing cold, the mud, the ruined clothes, the screaming. It is raw. It is pathetic. It is the end of an era. The era of dollar bill is officially over. There is no magical buyout coming. There is no secret offshore account that can save him. The banks have everything. The government will probably start looking into his finances next, because when a company falls this fast, there are always skeletons in the ledger. And Katie's cold eyes, I keep thinking about her looking through that window. The strength it must have taken for her not to open the door, to finally say enough is enough. You made your bed and now you have to drown in it. This is going to change the entire landscape of Los Angeles. Forrester Creations has a monopoly again. The Logan sisters are going to have to deal with the fallout of this massive public scandal. Will is going to have to navigate his career at Forrester while his father is a public pariah. And Bill, homeless, penniless, broken. What does a predator do when he has no teeth and no claws? Does he crawl into a hole and die? Or does he try to fight a war he has already lost? I do not know. Nobody knows. But I know that tonight he is sleeping in the cold. And for a man who has always had the world on a silver platter, the taste of mud has to be a bitter pill to swallow. I need to wrap this up because my brain is shutting down. But you guys needed to know, you needed the raw details of how the mighty have fallen. It is clunky and it is messy and it is a complete disaster. Just like Bill's life right now. Keep your eyes peeled because the fallout from this is going to dominate the news for months. The lawsuits, the bankruptcy hearings, the family drama. It is going to be insane. But for now, just picture the rain, the dark sky, the locked door, and a man screaming into the void, realizing that nobody is listening anymore. All right, I am going to try and get some sleep. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you think Bill deserves this or if you feel sorry for him. Personally, I think karma has a very specific sense of timing, and to